I only have 7 points, so basically just what was left over from all my super heroic runs and everything through the story. I just put the remainder of the points there. So there's only 7. So currently, I don't focus on dodge much with my gear, so I'm only at 44% dodge chance, just standing still. And then with action roll, it goes up to about a 4,000 dodge rating, which is equivalent to 50%.
Okay.
Or 49.8.
Yeah, what do you think of that ability? I was wondering because you could actually use, what I like about the ability is you could actually use it like a form of active mitigation. Because theoretically you could keep it up so that you're always at a higher dodge rating. Do you think that's even worth it, or is just you losing too much DPS that way?
Well, the nice thing I use is I'll use my club throws, and I'm able to cycle between and roll around. I mean, so you don't really lose a whole lot of DPS. I can stay locked on the same target and just continue firing away. But I don't think it's worth trying to keep it up entirely, just because the difference I get is only about 6% dodge.
Yeah, that's not gonna help you indeed.
Yeah.
I see you running around. Do you also dodge, like to make your clubs go through the mobs more often?
I do. Yeah, I'll try and position myself in certain areas so that I hit the most targets possible.
It's quite an interesting gameplay.
So you can see that's more advantageous than triple strike also, just because triple strike would keep you standing still, so you're susceptible to getting hit from other areas. Yeah. Whereas if I'm using this, I can hit the same target, move, and then try and position myself around enemies or get them to follow me, and then throw my clubs so it hits them in a line.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope we can go to Midtown and show it as well at the end of the stream. End of interview, I mean. The other options, heroic leap. I remember myself using heroic leap just to move around the battlefield. But what about evasive kick, knockback kick, or swing assault? Do you think any of these has any value?
Let's see. I actually tried out jumping strike because jumping strike has one of the higher damage coefficients that I'd seen in an ability. But the I'll slot it actually.
How about that chin music?
It just seemed like it didn't hit as reliably, and it was very slow and hard to position. It's actually doing.
Yeah, you missed there though one.
That's gotta hurt.
But I was missing a lot more often before, I felt like, and it just wasn't worth it. But it is one of the higher damage coefficient skills, which made it attractive. Other than that, swinging assault I think has a cooldown, which it just doesn't do enough damage to justify having a 2-second, or actually 4-second cooldown. 18 spirit in 4 seconds. So. Other than that, evasive kick is an interesting one. That's another one with a higher damage coefficient, but it takes you out of battle, and it's almost like a movement power. People typically don't invest a lot in movement powers just because you can't repeatedly use them to increase your DPS, and evasive kick is one of those types of powers.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, I've seen some people use knockback kick. The only thing that kind of stinks is the fact that it does knock back enemies a little bit, but you can repeat it over and over, and they don't knock back all that quickly or that far, so you can get damage out of it. But I just find that opening lunge is so much better. And one of the problems with DareDevil is he has 3 passives that I invest in heavily, which means I don't have a lot of points for actual powers. So I have my club strike, club throw, and then basically opening lunge.
Okay, so could you once more you show how you see if these were real enemies? How would you fight them? Could you quickly show that?
Yeah, if I were coming into a battle, I'd probably action roll into it. If it were a group, I'd opening lunge and take out some of the trash, and whatever was left over, I would use club throw.
Okay, and if it was like a boss, only this one?
Some bosses, actually, one of the affixes on clubs that I really like is the advantage, or the ability to take away 5% of their health that triggers every so often. So after a dodge, I would actually attack faster and then trigger that ability. I think you've probably seen it on some items. See if I read mine. It says, a 7% chance to deal 5% of the target's current health when you hit with a basic power. So it's only triggered by a basic power, and you can see it happen even though it's not reported as damage. You'll see just a large chunk of the boss's health disappear, which is kind of nice.
All right.
I don't know if it'll work on a target or a dummy, but
I have it highlighted now. I don't know. I saw it move. There it
there
go.
we
Yeah.
go.
You're on the ropes.
Yeah, so it's playing a numbers game, but it does help against some of the bosses that take a longer amount of time, especially if you're in a party.
Yeah. Doom Phase 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Cool. I don't know if you're up for a break, but otherwise, I just like to go straight to the itemization.
Sure. Yeah, I can keep going. I can talk about Daredevil all day.
Nice. So that's what you're gonna do. No worries. Yes, itemization. There is a lot of itemization in the game currently. First, I would just like your general idea. How do you think they're going with all the relics and team insignias now? Do you think it's good, or is it like overwhelming, or?
Uh, I really like team insignias. I think those have a far greater benefit than relics. Just getting a stack of 1,000 relics is going to take so long, and I've looked at the maximums, so the benefit you get from each one, and it's not very high, especially when you consider, using Daredevil. If I bring it up, you get 190 melee damage with 1,000 relics. I mean, that's almost nothing. I think the two best relics are going to be the ones that provide spirit, maybe life steal, but even then you only get 221 life or hit points back. Move speed is a lot of fun for characters you think are slow, but other than that, I don't see that relics are a huge advantage.
Yeah. So you're saying that just a full relic slot for example melee damage is just like one costume affix slot then?
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty negligible. So I think there's more value if you were to, put it into lifesteal or even move speed or spirit. Spirit would probably be the most valuable just because you'd have a never-ending spirit pool practically.
Yeah, so what do you currently use on Daredevil?
Right now I'm using the Relic of Lemuria, so for getting 50 HP back each hit.
Okay.
And it works pretty nicely with the club throws, and it also works with opening lunge. I'll get hit points back every time I hit a group of enemies.
Yeah. So what I already noticed is that on your Daredevil you actually have to. It feels like you have to spend points in your passive to actually stay alive instead of just putting them in stuff that gives you damage. And this as well, you say that Lemuria is a better skill where for DPS purposes obviously it's the melee one, but you kinda you don't really have that luxury for Daredevil to go that way.
Yeah, the melee one, even if you put it into that, your damage coefficients are so low that the benefit is really negligible. Like I said, it just doesn't make that much of an impact on the character.
Yeah, I see. If I go too quickly to the costume, the affixes, I assume that you're not really going then for the damage rating then because of the low damage coefficients.
Yeah, that's actually one place I stack damage rating, just
Okay.
because you can get so much out of it. I've tried actually two other costumes. I have one that's just entirely damage on critical hit, and then another one that's entirely critical rating. My current critical rating is 738, which is a 28.5% chance of a critical hit, which is nice. If I put on this costume at 1400 crit rating, it goes up to 43%. Which is helpful, but I mean, even as critical hits, the big advantage is when you can find a brutal strike, and that's what I love about the insignias, is the brutal strike ability.
Yeah. Let's before we go to the insignia, what is the core that you use on him?
I've got my main core, and the reason I use it, I use one that has 25% drop rarity, but the 25% regain of health and spirit, I think that's one of the more valuable options, and then +1 to fighting because it tops out his fighting skill, increases his attack speed, and then lowers the spirit cost for fighting powers.
Yeah, that's really valuable. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the I did the interview before with Liloric as well. He also really thinks the 25% health and spirit is a really good one for your costume core. Yeah.
Yeah, because the spirit gain is immediate as well as the hit points. So if you're really in trouble, I mean it'll help you out way more than some of the other options.
Yeah. Then I just gonna follow the road, the team insignia.
Team insignia. Right now, I'm using an Avengers insignia. It's the insignia of Wolverine. So it says when I critical hit, I get a 245 brutal strike rating for 5 seconds. So I find that really useful. I think it's for it's you and your allies. So it's a nice team skill. So currently, I only have a 2% chance. I think when I crit, it goes up to maybe a 4% chance. But it's worth using, even though it triggers. Seldomly it's nice to have.
Yeah. Big numbers are cool.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find a better insignia yet. They're still new, and it seems like the purple ones are very rare.
Personally, I have not found the purple one yet, so yeah. I don't know if that means anything. I played a lot of the lower levels. No, I only played Cage at the lower levels. I don't know. I don't really get many of them either. Yeah, that's good. It's a good item hunt.
Yep. And then going down the road, down to my clubs, I've got the top level clubs. They add damage rating on physical attacks. I actually have a additional 7 points to club strike, which is his basic attack, and then that 7% chance to deal 5% of the target's damage, or their hit points as damage. Also, it's got an option or an ability to regenerate 44 health when I hit with a basic power, so that stacks with the relic of Lemuria, so I get 100 hit points back per hit.
Yeah, that's really useful. Does he have unique? I'm not so aware of all the uniques because I try to keep them secret for myself and be really excited when I find one. But
okay,
are they good for Daredevil?
Kinda. Yeah, he's got a unique, I guess, a bodysuit. It's the I'm Not Daredevil sweater, and I actually use it. I think it's valuable, but it doesn't have all the stats that maybe you'd want. It's just not as flashy. The one I have currently, it adds 55 spirit, 300 dodge rating, 1400 health, 170 tenacity. The nicest thing is that it gives you the option to become invisible and invulnerable. It gives you, I think it tops out at a 5% chance for both. And you remain invisible even though you're attacking for 3 seconds, which is also really nice. So the invisibility doesn't shed when you do an attack. And then after that, it just gives a +1 to all powers.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's not groundbreaking. Maybe what you'd expect a unique to be. The other unique he has that I haven't been able to find is I think it's called the Shadowy Mask of the Hand, and there's been a lot of talk in the Daredevil subforum because it won't drop. I've gotten I think 12 uniques overall,
Yeah.
and all of them have been Shield life support gear or this I'm Not Daredevil sweater. So I currently have 5 sweaters, 5 Shield life support gears, and then I got 2 uniques for characters I haven't leveled up nearly that high.
Okay, and then other players notice that as well in the forum?
Yes, there's actually a thread about it that the unique just won't drop. Currently, after the last patch, I stayed up till like 3 a.m. Trying to see how many uniques I could get, and I got 2 sweaters. So that's not a large enough pool to make any judgments just yet, but I'm worried that the mask just won't drop. And when you have something called a unique item, it's nice to get unique ones rather than the same one over and over again.
Yeah, they actually explained how that works, and then they say it's like if a chest drops, it's always gonna be roll all the way up to a unique. It's always gonna be that sweater if you have only one sweater, and if you have 2, it's choosing then. But it's weird that you never get the mask. Then it is.
Yeah, I don't know if just the chances at a mask are smaller, but I haven't been able to get that.
Yeah, I cannot. I don't know either.
Yeah.
Does he have unique weapons?
He does not currently that I've been able to find. So the only thing I've been able to get, and I think other players playing as Daredevil have only been able to get the sweater. I've seen a couple other people who've played as other characters and found the Daredevil mask, but playing as him, odds are you may not find it ever.
That's I hope that gets looked into, because yeah, that's kind of, you have to play another hero that you won't like, and then you have even less chance to find it. So
Yeah.